Hello again from my front porch. Nice overcast day here in Iowa, but very windy. In the words of Pooh, again, it's a rather blustery day, Piglet. I got to work on my Pooh impression, not my. Anyway. So I've said this before. Unfortunately, I feel like I say it too much. I don't really enjoy doing politically oriented episodes. Now, it's not that I have a problem with talking politics. I'm happy to do that. But increasingly, it seems like when you have a political discussion with someone, you're not really discussing anything. It's really just more of an exchange of insults, is what those have devolved into. I prefer actually talking to somebody about sometimes I get educated. I hear a perspective, I hear details that I've not previously been privy to, and that helps me. You know, I will have people, depending on what I post on social media, I will have people assume that I am a Trump supporter, a MAGA guy, that I'm just brainwashed, watching Fox News and blah, 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 whatever. And I don't even watch Fox News. I don't even like Donald Trump. But there are things that get posted about him or about Republicans that I'm like, wait a minute, that's not quite right. Ooh, hey, a little wind, little aggressive wind there, huh? But then also, it goes the other way too, where I will post something that is not flattering to Donald Trump or that is more benefiting of those on the left side, and I'll be accused of being, you know, some Kool-Aid drinking, mindless zombie working for the DNC, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's because I'm in the middle, and so I can get beat up by both sides. That's the way that works. But anyway, there was, if we were literally sitting on the front porch here together talking about things, we would undoubtedly be talking about the current event of elections that happened last night and are the topic of a lot of discussion. So here we go. But I'm gonna mention these things, and I'm gonna take a slightly different view, a slightly different approach than what you might be thinking I would go with them. There was a Supreme Court election last night in Wisconsin. And Elon Musk, in my opinion, embarrassed himself. But Elon Musk was out there throwing around literally $1 million checks to encourage people to vote and to preferably vote against the Democrat and vote for the. It's not a partisan. It's a judgeship. That making judge elections partisan, in my opinion, is a horrible thing in general. Period. Across the board. These should not, they're like city council elections. These should not be partisan. But still, that we've forced that dynamic onto these roles. And so Elon Musk showed up in Wisconsin, was throwing around literally big money. In fact, it was being challenged legally. Could he really do that? Turns out, yes, he could. And so he was trying to do this. Now, a lot of people then accused him of trying to buy that election. Understandable, and you got to understand, we in the Midwest, we really don't react positively to that kind of scenario. There's a total miscalculation on Musk's part and anybody else that was, you know, engineering those visits and those speeches by him, because here in the Midwest, oh, I mean, sure, we'll take your $1 million check and go cash it. Absolutely, we will. But everybody watching you do that now views you suspiciously. We don't see you as this giver of all this great money. We still, why are you doing this? And we start questioning. We start getting cynical. We start getting more. We want to dig deeper into what's really going on here. And so, excuse me. So I think when I saw that Musk was out there doing that, I was just like, oh, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. That's going to backfire on you so badly, and it did. The Democrats, the candidate for the Supreme Court role that the Democrats wanted, won the election. The candidate that Donald Trump wanted did not. And so, of course, the media's all to, you know, did you see? Yay, they defeated Trump's person, and you know, this is a bellwether for what the future holds for the midterm elections. Well, now maybe, but hold on, because there was also special elections down in Florida, where there were 2 U.S. House seats. If you're talking national level influence, I would say U.S. House of Representatives seats carry more weight than a state Supreme Court candidate. But that's just me. But these 2 House seats had been held by Republicans that are now part of the Trump administration, so they'd done special elections for them. Now, again, they were already Republican in Republican hands, but that doesn't guarantee they were going to stay that way. And in fact, Democrats went full bore on trying to flip those seats because it would have helped them shave down or even eliminate the very tenuous majority that Republicans have in the U.S. House of Representatives. So, Democrats, by all reports, Democrats outspent Republicans in those 2 races 10-1. Democrats spent 10 times more on those 2 elections, or those 2 races, than the Republicans did. And yet, when the dust settled, the Republicans retained both of those seats. Now, they didn't win them by as much margin as previously had been done, but in the past there wasn't that much attention paid to those either. It wasn't that the whole Democratic Party mechanism was trying to flip these 2 seats. So you expect things were going to be a little bit different with that. But was that a bellwether? Was that an indicator for congressional Democrats? Between these 2 elections, what is the message we're supposed to get? Well, according to the talking heads from Wisconsin, well, this means that Republicans are in trouble. But what about in Florida? Well, you sure the Republicans won, but they didn't win by as much, so the Republicans are still in trouble. Now, wait a minute. Look at the results that came. What? My takeaway from those 2 things are people are tired of having elections bought. I said what I said. Now, I'm also cynical and jaded enough to know that that does not mean elections can no longer be bought. And in fact, as we are now gearing up to the midterm elections, I suspect these are going to be, some of the ugliest, dirtiest, most hateful rhetoric, bloodbaths, politically speaking, that we have witnessed in a very long time. The Democrats are going good. I mean, what we saw in Florida in these 2 offices here is small potatoes compared to what we're going to see as there is an attempt by the Democrats to at least claim 1 of the chambers, preferably both. They can't take the White House because Trump has 4 years for that. But if Democrats can flip even 1 of the chambers, then they can seriously throw a wrench into any other plans and things going on. If the chamber that the Democrats can take is the House, well, then fully expect Trump to be impeached a 3rd time, at least. Because we saw during Trump's first term, he was impeached twice, which, just for the record, impeached simply means charged. That's the glorified congressional term. Impeached doesn't really mean anything. It's a word. It's a phrase. What matters is you were impeached, and then how were you punished? Just like if you're charged with a crime and then you're actually found, you go to trial and the judge says, yep, okay, this is going over for trial. The fact that you have been charged and that you are going to trial doesn't mean anything. What matters is the trial and the outcome of that. Were you found guilty? Were you punished? Blah, blah, blah. And so people like to say, well, Trump was impeached twice. That is true, but both times on a party line vote, because it takes simple majority, and it's all Democrats. So if Democrats can retake the House, even by a slim majority, I guarantee you there will be more Trump impeachment happening, just like there was before, and it will still be party line, and it'll be all that same political circus again. Now, that's not a reason to not let Democrats have that. I'm just saying that would be an obvious outcome. In the Senate, if the Democrats can take back the Senate, well, if there are any openings on the U.S. Supreme Court, the Senate are the ones who get to Trump can nominate whoever he wants, but the Senate is where they confirm that, and so Democrats obviously want to, control that process as well, but preferably they want to control both. Now, that means there's going to be a whole lot going on, and a lot of money is going to get spent. A lot of money is going to get spent. And I worry about how attentive people will be, because right now, and I know how this is going to sound, but right now, I am so disappointed in the congressional Democrats, and the reason I'm disappointed is because they have now just bent over backwards to make speeches. Senator Booker from New Jersey just broke the record, 25-hour filibuster. What was it? But what was the point of the what was he blocking? Nothing, except for the Senate to do any business. But there was no specific legislation he was blocking, nor was there any specific legislation he was trying to promote. He was just being obstructionist. That's it. And grandstanding for 25 hours, saying a lot of stuff that we've already heard. Democrats all gathered together on the steps of the Capitol and took turns yelling into the microphone to proclaim how bad Donald Trump was, how bad Elon Musk is, how bad all the stuff that's going on is. And then Bernie Sanders and AOC did their little tour of college campuses and all, and bringing in tens of thousands of people to listen to them say the same kind of stuff. And now Senator Booker said the same kind of stuff. But in all these cases, it's a lot of talking and nothing being offered. The only thing being offered is a desire to turn back the clock and to re-implement government in D.C. the way it was before Trump and Musk's Doge, or however you say it, D-O-G-E, however, whatever they've changed. So basically it's Democrats saying a lot of words with the intention of rolling things back, reverting to the status quo that was D.C. before Trump took office again. I'm sitting here thinking, really? That's the best you have to offer? Really? So the only way they have around that is to spend. And in doing so, try to convince the gullible and the ignorant who don't really pay attention this is what reality actually is. Forget what has actually happened. Forget what you can actually see and look up online. Forget what you can actually hear with your own ears. We're telling you this is the reality you need to buy into, and we're going to spend so much money and feed you this so much that we're going to try to convince you to accept this as fact. Now, I'm picking on Democrats because they should be in the power position right now. They have the opportunity to see what's going on and to go, nope, we're going to do this. Here in Iowa, for example, Democrats here in Iowa, very smart, very wise. They took now granted, they took a cue from what Donald Trump has done on the national level, but Republicans in Iowa were slow. They drugged their feet. Democrats, on the other hand, jumped on it. At the national level, Donald Trump champions no tax on tips. Great. And it gets done. It gets approved at the federal level. Yay! That's a good thing. Here in Iowa, Republicans did not go, hey, that's a good idea. Let's jump on that bandwagon. Instead, they waited, and the Democrats pulled it out from underneath them and said, you know what? We want that to be the case for Iowa income tax as well. We want no tax on tips for Iowa income tax too. And the Democrats got out in front and started championing that. And I say, good job. Good for them. I mean, it's obviously good for the people who earn tips. But the point being, Republicans, that was on a silver platter. All they had to do was pick it up. it was done by Republicans at the national level, state Republicans. All they had to do was say, yeah, we're going to do that here. And they didn't. And they let it go. And Democrats just snatched that up and owned that issue. That's what I'm talking about. Democrats seeing opportunity and doing something with it, not just talk, complain, and then insist I want to turn everything back to the way it was when it was all broken and full of fraud. So I'm hoping that maybe that changes. I'm hoping that there's some decent proposals that come out of all this other than just put things back the way they were. I don't have hope. I don't have a lot of hope for that, but I am hopeful that's what happens. But this idea that Wisconsin means the Republicans are in trouble, or that Florida means Republicans are in trouble because they didn't get as much margin, I think both those are absurd. So quite a ways away yet. But what they do show, and what I hope is a wake-up call for both parties, because that example I gave about how the Democrats want to try to shape perspective, I guarantee you Republicans are going to be doing the exact same thing. The Republicans have not exactly endeared themselves with people, and so So Republicans, they're still sticking their finger in the air and going, let's see, which direction should we go? Should we align with Trump, or should we be opposing Trump, or is there a middle ground? I mean, they're still flailing all over the ground. They can't figure out their identity there. So at some point, they're going to have to nail down to something, and then they're going to invest a boatload of money into trying to convince you this is who they have always been, even though it's not true either. So with that, with the recognition that we are about to enter this political gauntlet of money just flooding in from all sides, keep in mind that the stuff you're going to hear and the stuff you're going to see is only partially true about anyone, about any topic, about any subject. You're going to be hearing a lot of spin. You're going to be hearing a lot of revisionist history. You're going to be hearing a lot of retconning of reality. I mean, Gavin Newsom right now, governor of California, he started a podcast where he's talking to people, and in the interviews he's doing and the way he's talking about the topics, he's trying to change his perception. He's wanting to run for president. Everybody knows this. And he right now, everything he's been doing in California, he's been hard to the left. But he knows he cannot win a presidential election identified so much with a hard left-wing stance and record. So he is right now using his podcast to reinvent himself, to redefine himself. And that's exactly the same thing that both parties are going to be trying to do leading up to the midterm election. Brace yourself and use your critical thinking skills. Just because you see it online, just because a meme says so, just because a politician stands in a microphone and shouts and is very fiery and passionate about what they're saying, doesn't make any of it true. Or certainly doesn't make all of it true. Read between the lines. Be critical. Be cynical. Be alert. Be aware. Use your brain. Recognize that none of them are being completely honest with you. And that as a voter, you have the responsibility to sort through the garbage and find what is actually truth in the middle. There's going to be a lot of money spent. We are going to have, I don't know how much longer we can go without seeing political commercials. It used to be a few months before an election you'd start seeing them. I think they're going to start showing up a lot sooner than that. The junk mail is going to start filling up the mailbox. I think this is going to be one of the ugliest slugfests, not that we've ever seen. Go back to when Abraham Lincoln was first elected. You want to talk about ugly slugfest elections? Things were, and there have been others in presidential history for sure, where things were. And back then, the newspaper publications didn't care about being labeled biased. They were openly favorable to one party or the other. Now, I still think many of our news media outlets are favorable to one side or the other, but they try to pretend that they're not. but they clearly, very obviously are. Buyer beware. Voter beware. The thing that saves our nation, the thing that makes America great, is not a politician of either party. It is not a program out of D.C. It is you and me, the voters. A fully informed citizenry is what is required for our nation to remain strong. And the way that happens is that you don't be gullible and naive. Don't just accept. I prefer Republicans. I prefer Democrats. So what? Just because your preferred side says something doesn't make it true. Just because an elected official that you like and you revere declares this is the way you should think about something doesn't mean you should. Stand on your own. Know what you believe and why. And if you see something, especially something that is a criticism of somebody else, on either side, whatever level, and you go, oh, I can't believe the person would be doing that. I can't believe that person said that. It's probably because they didn't. It's probably a lie. But you see, social media allows us to be able to put a lie out there. And if the person who created it puts it out there and 2 days later goes, oh, my bad, I'm sorry, that wasn't accurate. So what? It's already out there. And it takes on a life of its own, and it keeps spreading around the world because people see this and they want to believe that the person I dislike politically actually could be doing this, actually could have said this. And that is how we get manipulated, with lies or half-truths. Don't let that be you. Please. The puppet masters are going to try to do their very best to manipulate all of us, to go the directions they want us to go, trying to herd us like cattle based off the targeted information and the spin that they give us. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. I really wanted to do a happy one today. I wanted to, but it's like, this stuff is all over the place, and people having these shouting matches about stuff. And again, if we were literally sitting on the front porch talking today, this is what we would have been talking about. So here you go. I am hopeful. I'm hopeful that I'm wrong. I look forward this whole episode. I would love, when we get to the next election, I'd love somebody to be able to come back onto this episode and comment and say, Paul, turns out you were completely wrong. That's not the way it went at all. I would love that to be the case. I don't expect that to be the case, but I would love that to be the case. I can't influence the election overall, but I can encourage you to not let the overall influence you. That's the best I can do. And with that, I'll let y'all go. And I'll see you next time from my front porch.